I knew these ladies are gonna be real big. You know them as En Vogue.
En Vogue.
En Vogue.
To be in vogue means to be in style, in fashion, and we feel like our music is sort of on the cutting edge of something. You know, it's a fashionable, sort of in style type of a sound, I think. And so I think that En Vogue is a good name for this group. Yeah.
It's 1988 in Richmond, California. Four girls walk into an audition room. Maxine Jones, Cindy Herron, Terry Ellis, and Dawn Robinson are each unaware that their lives are about to change forever. This is the story of En Vogue.
Well, while we were in Club Nouveau, we were always talking about, me and Tommy myself was talking about starting a girls group because there wasn't any out at the time. It was a few pop acts, but very few, and the last soul singing act was the Pointer Sisters that we could recall, and the Emotions.
Denzil Foster and Thomas McElroy, known collectively as Foster and McElroy's journey began in Oakland, California. The two shared a passion for music that transcended genres, blending R&B, funk, and pop into a unique sound that would later become their trademark. The 1980s were pivotal for Foster and McElroy. They first garnered attention as producers for Timex Social Club, whose 1986 hit single, Rumors, brought them into the spotlight. This initial success equipped them with the experience and confidence to form a music production team. Acknowledging their complementary talents, Foster's gift for crafting melodies and McElroy's expertise in production and arrangement, they decided to fully commit to their music production careers. The duo's first major breakthrough came with Club Nouveau, a group they formed in 1986 after leaving Timex Social Club. Club Nouveau's debut album, Life, Love, and Pain, featured the hit single Lean on Me, a cover of Bill Withers' classic. The song topped the charts, earning Foster and McElroy a Grammy Award for Best R&B Song. This success cemented their reputation as innovative producers capable of blending contemporary sounds with classic influences. By 1988, Foster and McElroy had left Club Nouveau and landed a production deal. They eventually were able to sign a trio who were making noise in the Bay Area and went by the name Tony Tony Tony. Foster and McElroy released Tony Tony Tony's debut album under their production company, who, produced and co-written by the duo, was released in 1988. The first single, Little Walter, went to #1 on the R&B charts. In late 1988, amidst the success of the Tonys' debut album, Foster and McElroy sought to create an all-female group that could rival the legendary girl groups of the past. Their vision was to blend the harmonies and elegance of 1950s and 1960s girl groups with the contemporary sound of modern R&B. Based on the popularity of the trio girl groups of past like the Supremes and LaBelle, Foster and McElroy thought that a group consisting of 3 girls would be ideal for their new project. "We wanted the girls to be beautiful, but not too beautiful," said McElroy in a 1992 interview. "Intelligent, but not nerds or anything. And more than anything else, when they sang, we wanted people to go, wow."
You know, Jenny and I always wanted to be like Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. So we were always discussing what kind of groups we wanted to produce. And one of the groups, we always wanted to do a girl group. We always said, what if we had an all-star girl group? That would be tight. Gladys Knight, Diana Ross, Patti LaBelle.
The Emotions.
Yeah. It was like we had that. We could put it together and put it on top of some of these beats we're doing. That would be just, we would just hit them over the head with. We were always plotting and scheming. We were like, oh, they could be dressed like this. They could be this complexion. They could be, their hair could be like this. The videos, we would just blow up. You know, we would just be imagining it in our heads before it even happened.
Foster and McElroy conducted extensive auditions around the Bay Area to find the perfect 3 members for the group. The duo auditioned around 3,000 girls and ended up with 5 finalists.
My name is Maxine Jones.
Maxine Jones was born in Paterson, New Jersey, and moved to the Bay Area in the 9th grade. In 1988, she was 26 years old and a hairdresser in Oakland. She had previously done background vocals for Brenda Vaughn. Maxine wasn't initially invited to the audition but heard about it through a friend and showed up. Funny enough, her roommate at the time also snuck to the audition without telling her. That girl ended up not making the group.
I am Cindy Herron.
Cindy Herron was 26 in 1988 and already a star in her own right. Prior to the audition, she was featured as a Jet magazine's Jet Beauty of the Week in a January 1980 issue. She was also named Miss San Francisco 1986 and a former Miss Black California. Herron had always wanted to pursue acting and was cast in 1980 on the PBS television drama Up and Coming, so naturally she was a shoo-in for the audition.
I'm Dawn Robinson.
Then there was Dawn Robinson, the youngest of the group. She was 20 at the time of the original audition and had been a club singer since she was 12 years old, and was currently working in a dentist office. Originally from New London, Connecticut, she had moved to the Bay Area when she was a teenager. She was at Summer Jam, an annual concert hosted in the Bay, when she was approached by an associate for Foster and McElroy, asking if she was a model. She ignored him, thinking it was a pickup line. Then he asked if she was a singer. That got her attention.
What I needed to get that audition that day. I just know that for a fact because I was too nervous. I kept telling my sister all day long. My mom had asked me the night before if she wanted me, if I wanted her to take me to the audition. And I said, no. I asked Jackie, my best friend, because Mom, I don't want you at the audition with me. And then my best friend was like, but I got to work. So she couldn't take me either. So my sister was there. Had my mom or my best friend taken me to the audition, Angel, I know for a fact that as soon as I said I was nervous, maybe not the first 2 times or 3 times, but after the 4th time, Mom, please just let's go. Can we go? Can we leave? She would have said yes.
Okay.
You know what I mean? My best friend would have been like, okay, let's go. Let's go get pizza. You know what I mean? Or let's just go like hang out. They would have felt prey to my begging them, please let's go. I don't want to be here. I don't deserve to be here. These girls are better than me. I kept saying that because Cindy had done so much in her life. And I just didn't think, oh my God, I didn't think I fit in at all.
The 3 girls, along with Maxine's roommate Jordana, entered the audition room. They were first interviewed by the producers who wanted to make sure each girl was the right fit personality-wise. Then they were asked to sing. Maxine went first, then Dawn, then Cindy. Dawn's version of the audition song, Waiting on You, would be featured as the last track on the girls' debut album. But after the girls initially recorded their parts of the audition, another woman entered the room.
My name is Terry Ellis.
It was Terry Ellis, who was 25 years old and a student at Prairie View A&M University. She was singing with a band and doing studio work in Houston when a friend called her about the audition. She used her rent money to fly to Oakland the next day and was late to the original audition due to weather delaying her flight from Texas. The girls sang. They sang solo. They sang in different lineups in 3-part harmony, then 4. Maxine remembered in a 1991 interview, "When I went in with the girls, my voice fit in with theirs, like we had the same tone qualities or something. It was amazing. Denny tried every possible combination of the 4 of us, and it seemed to work. Everything we did seemed to work." The chemistry among the 4 women was immediate and powerful. Each brought a unique voice and style, blending perfectly to create the rich, harmonious sound that would become En Vogue's signature. And their voices blended so well together that Foster and McElroy's hopes of finding a trio slowly faded away. They found a quartet. Maxine, Cindy, Terry, and Dawn would find out they made the group a couple days later.
Now, you all were put together by, well, it was an audition, I guess, in California, on the West Coast, by Foster and McElroy, who, by the way, wrote the theme song to the video. So, you know, ooh la la. Ooh la la. So they were auditioning for, were they specifically looking for 4 young ladies, or were they just trying to see what they could catch?
Actually, it was 3.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be 3 young ladies, but they couldn't let us go.
Yeah,
but, you know,
so well together.
Yeah.
They kept all 4.
Yeah.
The girls made it. They were in the group and ready to get to work. They signed a 7-year production deal with Foster and McElroy's 2 Tough Enough Productions. In their initial agreement with Foster and McElroy, who the girls would go on to nickname Denny and Tommy, the girls were allegedly promised $5,000 up front and another $5,000 after the album was finished. According to Dawn, they were also incentivized to personally receive 2 cents per album sold. So if they sold 1 million copies, each girl would bring in about $20,000 before other expenses. They also were introduced to their new manager, who managed Denny and Tommy as well.
We were there, and Denny was so nice. You know what I mean? Yeah, this is our manager, David Lombard. Maybe he could be your manager one day. That was another thing that he put in our heads. Like, he's a good guy. He had his hand around his shoulder, and he was, you know, hitting his chest like this, like he's a good guy, and he's gonna protect us. And if y'all got him as a manager, he'll do the same for y'all. And we were like, okay, nice to meet you, David.
The girls were first featured on Denny and Tommy's compilation project FM Squared and featured in the music videos for the album while preparing to make their own music. By 1989, the group began recording their debut album. The early days were filled with long hours in the studio, honing their craft and perfecting their harmonies. Denny and Tommy guided them, crafting a sound that was both nostalgic and fresh. The group's early music was heavily influenced by the likes of the Supremes and the Ronettes, but with a modern twist that set them apart in the competitive music landscape. The girls were beginning to spend a lot of time together. Terry, Maxine, and Dawn even shared an apartment in Oakland while recording the album. Cindy had her own place, but visited often. Even still, they seemed to get along just as well as they sounded. The group was originally named For You, but that name was already taken. Then someone suggested Vogue, which was taken as well. Then the girls finally settled on In Vogue. Not because the girls came in glamorous or anything. Tommy remembered the first time he saw the girls in a 1994 Vibe interview. What we weren't ready for was the transformations. Maxine was a little hippie with a cheesy little skirt and little braids. Cindy was put together, but everybody else was a bum. In Vogue would later go on to epitomize their name. The girls, once polished, looked like models and dressed like them too. In April 1990, En Vogue released their debut album, Born to Sing. The lead single, Hold On, became an instant hit, reaching number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 and catapulting the group into the spotlight. The song's opening a cappella rendition of the Jackson 5's Who's Lovin' You, performed by Terry, showcased their vocal prowess and set the stage for their success. The success of Hold On was followed by other hits from the album, including Lies and You Don't Have to Worry. Both songs climbed the charts, further establishing En Vogue as a formidable presence in the music industry.
When we all met, the day of the audition, it just happened. It was like magic. So we like to say that it was fate that brought us together.
During this time, it is alleged that Terry and Denny from Foster and McElroy began to start seeing each other romantically. But that wasn't stopping the group's momentum. The Born to Sing album went on to go 3 times platinum. What separated En Vogue from other acts of the time was that all the girls could sing. I mean, really sing. Each girl had the chops to sing lead on their track, which was rare. And not only could they sing, their looks and star power matched their talent. The 4 won a Billboard Award for R&B Single of the Year and a Soul Train Award for R&B Urban Contemporary Single of the Year, Group, Band, or Duo. They were also nominated for a Grammy for Best R&B Vocal Performance by a Duo or Group, losing to Ray Charles and Chaka Khan's duet I'll Be Good to You. The ladies were on top of the world. They even signed an endorsement deal to appear in a Diet Coke commercial directed by Spike Lee. The public began to get to know the girls as well. Maxine was the free-spirited hippie chick, Cindy was the beauty queen, Terry was the Southern belle, and Dawn, well, she was the young spark plug of the group.
We will go back into the studio in October and work on our second album, and we hope that the first single from that album will be released around February of '92. And around Christmas time, we're also looking forward to releasing sort of like a compilation of remixes on all of the singles that we have released so far.
Despite their success, when the group returned to the studio in 1991 to record their second album, they received the same payment as for their debut, $5,000 up front and another $5,000 upon completion, as well as 2 cents apiece for each record sold. Dawn would go on to say, "We had never seen that kind of money. I was rich. I was singing in clubs one day, then I had a check for $5,000 and then another $5,000 at the end of the recording process. But to get the same thing for the second album was an insult." They were also told that they couldn't write on their sophomore album by their team, inhibiting any writing royalties that they could acquire once they put the album out.
Didn't write on this album because we were really busy and time was definitely a factor. So Tommy and Denny had to go in and they pretty much did everything and they let us hear everything and we liked it. So it was like, okay.
In 1992, En Vogue released their second album, Funky Divas. This album solidified their status as superstars. featuring hits like My Lovin', You're Never Gonna Get It, giving him something he can feel and free your mind. The album showcased their versatility and ability to blend genres seamlessly. My Lovin', with its memorable refrain and sassy attitude, became one of their biggest hits, embodying the group's confident and empowering image. Funky Divas not only achieved commercial success going multi-platinum but also earned the group numerous awards and nominations, including several Grammy nods. En Vogue became synonymous with empowerment, style, and vocal excellence. Their bold, confident image and messages of self-assurance and independence resonated with fans, especially women, who saw the group as role models. But while everything seemed glamorous from the outside, Dawn was beginning to see how much money the people around the group were making, alleging that before any member of En Vogue got paid, Denny and Tommy and their label were taking the lump sum of the money. She would be vocal about this to the other members, but the other ladies did not seem to care as much, afraid that they would face repercussions from the producers or their label if they spoke up for themselves.
That I'm what?
That you're very successful, does it frighten guys off a bit?
It can be intimidating, but some of them like the challenge.
Definitely. Yeah. And would you go out with like a guy who was really poor?
Yes, definitely. We're really poor. Really.
While on tour with MC Hammer, he caught wind that the ladies were only making 2 cents per album. He set up a meeting with the group and a business attorney who told them their deal was predatory and they should be making way more money. Dawn, being known for being the feisty one in the group, was ready to make a move that would force the label to pay the girls more, but the other members held back.
Yeah, but I'm only talking about contracts for all of us. I never, ever made it sound like I'm talking just for Dawn. It was never, ever that. You know what I mean? So, in other words, when I take my contract to the, I didn't take it to our attorney, but I took it to our accountant. And I said, what is going on? Where's the money? Show me the money. What's going on? There's something wrong here. And when I did that, I'm talking, our contracts were equal to the same exact contract. So if I'm speaking up for me, I'm speaking up for all of us. You know what I mean? The conversations that Maxine and I would have all the time, we would have these powwows on the phone for hours. Okay, Max, so tomorrow we're going to call Cindy and Terry and get them on board, right? Right. Okay, cool. We'll talk tomorrow, right? Right. And the next day I talked to her and I was like, so Max, what's up? Let's call them. And she's like, well, Dawn, I called Denny last night. Oh my God, no, you didn't. Please tell me you did not do that. Yes, I called Denny because I wasn't sure. And Denny said, no, we shouldn't renegotiate. Well, of course not, because for Denny, it's not broken. For us, It is broken. For our producers, it was fine. Everything was great. Don't call the producers. It would always be that way.
But despite this tension over money, En Vogue ventured into new territory during this time. They made numerous television appearances on shows like In Living Color, A Different World, and Rock. Cindy also had a supporting role in the Tupac-led film, Juice. Funky Divas went 5 times platinum and was nominated for 5 Grammys. By 1993, they had secured an endorsement deal with Converse, and were on the cover of publications like Vibe and 17. Rappers started mentioning them in their lyrics. Biggie shouted them out in Dreams, and Phife Dawg even singled Dawn out in the Tribe called Questune Oh My God. The girls even caught the eye of one of the biggest stars of the time.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the recipients of the 1993 Sammy Davis Jr. Award and 4-time 1993 Soul Music Awards nominees, En Vogue.
Luther Vandross was a bona fide superstar during this time. Known as the Velvet Voice, he had already solidified himself as one of the greatest vocalists of all time by 1993. He asked the members of En Vogue to join him as his opening act of his Never Let Me Go tour, which spanned 6 countries during 77 shows. But the ladies would soon leave the tour abruptly due to spats with the superstar. It all started when the girls declined to do the Arsenio Hall show to promote the tour. At the time, they thought they had done too many TV appearances and were becoming overexposed. Strike one. Then the band. Luther's stage was in the round, meaning that it was in the middle of the arena and rotated around for the entire audience to see. En Vogue had signed a contract stating that their band was supposed to be on the stage. But when audiences started complaining that the stage was so cluttered they couldn't see and the ladies started receiving bad reviews from critics, they wanted to move the band to where Luther's was, which he had a problem with. Strike two. Then wardrobe. According to the contract they signed, the group was not allowed to wear any of the colors Luther or his crew wore on stage. No blacks, reds, whites, no primary colors. En Vogue was known for their striking red gowns and incredible fashion sense. To restrict them to wearing bland colors like brown, hot pink, and orange did not sit right with the girls. So they rebelled against it and wore the colors they wanted. Strike 3. This all culminated into a big blow-up between Luther and the ladies. Luther at one point put up curtains in the backstage area so he wouldn't have to even see the girls' faces. When the members of En Vogue disregarded the curtains and walked through them in order to make their way to the stage, Luther called the cops on them for trespassing.
We're opening for Luther, and Luther's fabulous.
He is.
Nothing we'd done prepared us for an experience like Luther, said Cindy, who was pregnant on tour. Luther's camp would use Cindy's pregnancy as an excuse to say that's why the girls wanted off the tour, but the girls refuted that. In an interview with Vibe, Cindy said when we played Radio City Music Hall, we had everything scripted and choreographed, so we'd never get caught not knowing what to do. Now I'd like to get away from all that. I'd like to be freer in the show. But the truth is, we don't have the funds yet to pull that off. And she was right. The ladies were still tied to the same contract they had in the beginning. And even with the persistence of Dawn nagging the girls to take a stand against the label, nothing was done. But audiences couldn't tell from the outside. The girls were still as glamorous as ever. In 1993, they featured on Salt and Peppa's top 10 hit, What a Man, which still knocks till this day. They also released an EP titled Runaway Love, which had a single of the same name and was moderately successful. Dawn urged the group to boycott recording and take a stand against the label, believing that if they refused to record, the label would be forced to address their grievances and renegotiate. Cindy and Maxine agreed, but the label approached Terry with promises of a solo album, and she decided to not stand with her group members.
Terry Ellis becomes the first of the divas to offer the world her singular sound. And she does just that on Southern Gal.
But the group is
still solidly together.
Terry would record and debut at a solo album, Southern Gal, in November 1995. It was released by East West Records and produced a top 10 R&B hit, Wherever You Are. The album peaked at 116 on the US Billboard 100. So, in other words, it wasn't the greatest success. But En Vogue was still on the up and up. The same year, the band made a cameo appearance in Joel Schumacher's superhero film, Batman Forever. And by 1995, their 7-year contract with Two Tough Enough Productions had concluded, so it was finally time to start renegotiating. Despite their success, all was not well within the group. By the mid-90s, internal conflicts began to come to a head. After Terry's solo album was out, Sylvia Rohn, the head of their label, offered Dawn a solo album, to which she began recording. However, after she had completed a few songs, Sylvia pulled the plug on her solo effort.
And then maybe Terry was done with her album. She was getting ready to go on tour, like I said, and we supported her. And then the record company came to me and said, well, Dawn, we're not serious about your album right now. We're just going to go in and do an En Vogue album. And I was like, what? Wait a minute. Because I had recorded some incredible material and Sylvia Rohn loved it at Atlantic Records. She loved it. And I'm like, so you took Terry's album seriously, but you didn't take my album seriously?
Now, this could be looked at in two ways. Either the label just wanted to keep Dawn busy so she wouldn't stir up too much trouble about negotiations, or they observed how Terry's album did poorly and decided they didn't want to risk another solo En Vogue project. I'll let y'all decide, but let me know what you think in the comments. Dawn agreed to stop working on her solo project as long as Sylvia Rohn would grant her her own solo rights so she can look for another label for her solo contract. In 1996, the group recorded Don't Let Go Love for the soundtrack to the movie Set It Off. But during the recording sessions for Don't Let Go, Dawn heard speculation about her place in the group.
And with Don't Let Go, it was that way. They thought that I would sound good singing lead. And then the record company came in and said, we don't want Dawn to sing lead because she's going to be leaving the group.
Well.
Yeah, we're going to be kicking her out. So we want to make sure that Cindy and Terry Maxine sing the lead with her so that she doesn't have the bulk of the song.
The record label intervened, attempting to pressure the producers into not letting Dawn sing lead on the song. However, her voice sounded too good on the track to be replaced. The record label wasn't going to push the single at first, for obvious reasons, but it started to take off organically. Don't Let Go Love was En Vogue's biggest hit and went top 10 in multiple countries. The success of the song compelled Sylvia Rohn to send the group back in the studio to create their third album.
We're gonna
gonna kick you this video by the end of this show, but first let's talk about the group. I'm so happy to be in your presence right now. It's such an honor. You all look so beautiful. Everybody loves you out there. We love you. And everybody's heard all these rumors about you guys breaking up. Maybe you could bring some clarity to that situation for us.
Not true. Simple as that. Here we are.
She said it all did over here.
We never intended to spend so much time apart, but I did have to have a baby. And I had it, and I had that nice time off.
Him, not it.
Him. I had it.
Don't Let Go Love would be the last En Vogue single and video to feature Dawn. During a meeting about the album, the group fell apart. There are many accounts of what happened that day, but here's the gist. In 1997, Sylvia Rhone called a meeting that included all the girls, their attorneys, and staff. Knowing that Robinson had just signed a deal with Interscope Records and Dr. Dre for her solo project, Sylvia Rhone asked each member of En Vogue for a 2-year commitment to the third album. The other ladies were able to commit. Dawn felt like she was unable to do that and refused. Feeling as if Terry was supported for her solo project in ways that she wasn't, Dawn felt betrayed. Not able to commit to Sylvia's demands, Dawn was kicked out of the group. But the other three remember it differently, saying that Dawn wasn't kicked out and left on her own accord.
Initially, it was a slightly sad experience, but Dawn wanted to pursue her solo career, and we respected that. And vocally, we got with a vocal coach to work out our vocal harmonies, and we feel good and very comfortable now, and our fans have been very supportive, and it's been a good thing.
The group continued as a trio, releasing the album EV3 in 1997, supposedly removing the vocals Dawn had already recorded for the album, while EV3 still managed to produce hits like Whatever. It was clear that the dynamics had shifted. The album received mixed reviews, and the group's cohesion seemed to be weakening. Without Dawn Robinson, the group struggled to maintain the same level of success and unity that had defined their earlier years. But by 1999, Dawn was in a new group, Lucy Pearl. They released an album that was certified gold. But for En Vogue, the late 90s and early 2000s were marked by further lineup changes and internal conflicts. Maxine Jones left the group in 2001, and Terry and Cindy brought in new members to fill the gaps. Amanda Cole had a short stint from 2001 to 2003. Rona Bennett came along in 2003 and has been an on-again, off-again member to this day. These changes disrupted the group's chemistry and made it difficult for them to recapture the magic of their earlier years. Fans were disappointed by the constant changes and longed for the original lineup. During this period, the group released several albums and singles, but none replicated the success of their earlier work. The constant changes in membership and direction left fans yearning for the original magic that defined En Vogue. Despite their efforts, the group could not regain the commercial success and critical acclaim they had enjoyed in the early 1990s. In 2008, fans were thrilled when the original members reunited for a series of performances. This reunion reignited interest in En Vogue and led to new recording projects and tours. The original lineup, consisting of Cindy Herron, Terry Ellis, Maxine Jones, and Dawn Robinson, brought back the magic that fans had been missing for years. The reunion tour was a success, with fans flocking to see the group perform their classic hits. En Vogue's powerful vocals and dynamic stage presence reminded audiences why they had become such a beloved group in the first place. The reunion also generated media attention and brought the group back into the spotlight. However, the reunion was short-lived. Internal disagreements resurfaced, and Dawn Robinson once again left the group in 2011. Maxine Jones also departed shortly thereafter, leaving Cindy Herron and Terry Ellis as the only remaining original members. Despite these setbacks, the group continued to perform and record new music, bringing back Rona Bennett to fill the void of the other two original members. Then, in 2012, Cindy and Terry sued Maxine and Dawn for the En Vogue name plus $1 million in damages, claiming that Dawn and Max were illegally touring under the En Vogue name after the band broke up. The judge sided with Cindy and Terry, letting only them use the name. Dawn and Maxine toured under the name Heirs to the Throne for a short time, and then internal conflicts broke them up as well. Cindy, Terry, and Rona Bennett released an album under the En Vogue name titled Electric Cafe in 2018, which received positive reviews from critics and fans alike. And in 2019, the original band plus Rona got back together for a benefit concert thrown by Sylvia Rhone to support cancer research, looking as good as ever. Despite their challenges, En Vogue's legacy as pioneers in R&B remain intact. Their influence could be seen in the new generation of girl groups and female artists who drew inspiration from their groundbreaking work. En Vogue's contributions to music and pop culture continue to be celebrated and recognized by fans and artists alike. The funky divas were born to sing. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.